Alright, hear me out. I am not usually the type to spend a lot of energy worrying about the release timeline or the production circumstances of an anime that I'm already looking forward to. I mean, aside from wishing that animators weren't treated like glorified indentured servants, but let's put that aside for now. I think that usually if skilled staff are working on a show, they typically find a way to make stuff look relatively good. And I don't really mind modest productions of great stories to begin with. Honestly, I don't even think season 2 looked that bad. Its best cuts look undeniably great. It was just an obvious step down from what is without a doubt one of the best looking seasons of anime of all time.
Of all time! To this day!
But I don't think that every show, even every action show, needs to look like Jujutsu Kaisen or Demon Slayer or Chainsaw Man or Dandadan or Frieren or One Punch Man. And when I saw all of the controversy surrounding Sakamoto Days recently, I was just sitting back like, okay, but it's literally just a relatively good looking show. It's got a decent amount of dynamism in all of its fights. The 3D elements are only really used for more dynamic backgrounds and effects, and the comedy scenes just look funny. Like, we would have applauded many a shonen for looking this good in decades past, but people have just completely lost the plot on what relatively good animation looks like. And on what is actually sustainable when there are this many shows coming out, and a finite number of animators to work on them. A finite number of animators, many of which are $2 away from literal slave labor.
That shot I just talked about where I spent 8 hours on, it was like 10 seconds long at least, but I only got 2,500 yen for that.
Ooh. That's kind of small.
Many of which do not have the experience, the skills developed to create the quote-unquote Sakuga. But One Punch Man Season 3 has me worried, especially with the kind of expectations people have for it. Now, this is probably the best time to just go ahead and say, don't go on Twitter and harass the staff as many others have already.
Where is it? Where is it? Where is it?
Stop it. Get some help.
Better yet, just don't go on Twitter.
Why you have to be mad?
It's completely counterproductive to go give the individual ground floor level staff, who have no control over the circumstances, a bunch of needlessly negative feedback on things while they're potentially already struggling under the circumstances given to them by the studio and the production companies.
No matter how bad it is, some stupid son of a bitch like you make everything you're complaining about infinitely worse.
I guarantee you, they are doing everything within their power to make sure that the show looks as good as they can make it, given whatever circumstances they might be under, assuming they've actually been able to start working on it.
Sometimes foreshadowing is relatively obvious.
Long and short of it, don't blame the staff if it turns out bad. If anyone is to blame, it's JC staff and the production companies creating these unmanageable, underfunded, undermanned production schedules, and not paying their workers. But yes, Season 3 definitely has me worried. Here's why. We are 7 months out from one of the most highly anticipated action seasons of the decade, but we have no idea who the director is, and we most likely haven't even seen any actual show footage yet. Yes, the new PV trailer, which is mostly just a bunch of 1-to-1 still frame with lip flap animations of manga panels and even an alleged asset flip with an added smile, and also a handful of pretty decent shots as well. This PV was all pre-animated by Kazunori Ozawa. Yes, this effects animator, to my understanding, solo animated this character-centric PV. Solo animated the whole thing and overseen its production, if I'm understanding his tweet translations correctly, which really puts this whole thing in a different light. Like, I totally understand people complaining about how it looks given the expectations, but all things considered, like actually knowing the circumstances, it's actually kind of impressive. So don't hate on the animator themselves, for the love of God. They themselves seem to admit in their tweet that this job was outside of their wheelhouse and therefore more difficult than usual. Also, this one that says, "I want to say that I'm not the kind of person who normally draws characters. LOL. Other than the ecchi ones."
Yeah, boy.
So yeah, the question to ask here is not, did this one-man team do it justice on this pre-animated trailer? The question is, what kind of situation might we be in when we're 7 months out and they're asking an unrelated effects animator to solo pre-animate a character-centric preview? But anyway, back to that question in a moment. The announcement trailer, which everyone loved, which is easily the best looking preview, quote-unquote preview we've received for the show, was also a solo production, a pre-animated trailer by JC Staff's in-house animator, Kenichiro Aoki, who everyone is basically billing as the potential savior of Season 3. Unsurprising, given how much of the best work in Season 2 was generated by him. But he's also been doing a lot of work on Danmachi Season 5, which experienced an extended delay before episode 12 and just wrapped up recently. Like, a week ago recently. Which studio was working on this show? Well, of course, JC Staff, the same studio producing Season 3 of One Punch Man. So this raises the question, why would you release multiple pre-animated trailers featuring a bunch of solo animated footage that almost certainly won't even be used for the actual season? Up to 7 months before the show begins airing. Obviously, if you have any marketing sense whatsoever, you don't make a trailer out of just any old footage. You want to put your best foot forward when you're trying to build up momentum to the release of a series, so that everyone is there on day one. So why would they be doing this? Well, let's be honest. It's probably because there isn't enough footage that is ready to be shown yet to put together a real trailer.
I have everything under control.
So then that raises the question, how far along are they? Are they currently polishing up, compositing, and color grading their first big batch of finished animation cuts, perhaps in preparation for a legitimate trailer, as many are theorizing? Or are they even that far along yet? For the first episode, are they still working on in-between frames? Is the key animation for the first episode even done? Are they still working on storyboards? Did the show just enter its pre-production phase days ago? Like, did they just start working on it? They might have just started working on it.
It's entirely possible.
Have they even chosen a director yet? Like, I'm sure they have, but we have nothing whatsoever of actual substance to go on, and we're 7 months out. And like, obviously, it's also entirely possible that I'm just going full doomer mode here, but for the folks asking these questions, I've got no answers and no counter argument. I don't think anyone really does, no matter how much copium they're smoking. It's just such a bizarre way to handle the runway up to such a highly anticipated action show. And to be honest, that's probably the main reason that I wanted to cover this, aside from just trying to get some views, of course. It's just kinda morbidly fascinating how poorly this seems to have been managed as a marketing run so far, and potentially as a production schedule. But I don't know, maybe that is the idea, just set low expectations and let everything that we get be a surprise. Okay, so the only statement that I was actually able to find was from producer Atsushi Fujishiro, stating that preparations for the third season are steadily progressing. As a highly popular title with high expectations, we're committed to delivering a season that won't disappoint. And as I stated earlier, I'm sure it is true that the staff, whoever they might be, are doing their best with whatever circumstances that they've been given. But like, and this is probably an AI translation issue, but like, even the word preparation is beginning to worry me at this point.
What do you mean by that?
Okay. Once again, obviously, this could be a total doomer post. It could be too early to know anything, and we could still get a miraculously well-animated season if lots of really skilled staff end up working on it. Maybe we could get a JJK Season 2 situation where the animators pull off miracles week after week amidst an atrocious production schedule, but there's really no reason to think that either at this stage. Like, unless I'm missing something, the only highly proficient animator we know of that's working on the show is Kenichiro Aoki. Once again, a JC Staff in-house animator who's probably been a wee bit busy with all those Danmachi cuts. I just can't help but see red flags everywhere for this. Here's hoping I'm wrong, and that all of the 100% completely baseless theories about a legitimate trailer being right around the corner are true.
Oh, who could have seen this coming? Whoa!
Maybe the production committees for this season might also just be full of absolute morons who don't know any better, but I'm of the opinion that if the studio and the staff had some nice polished footage ready to hype us up, the production committees would have had them pony that stuff up for a real trailer by now.
Where is it?
And that just hasn't happened. Anyway, I really feel like I'm beating a dead horse at this point, so I'm gonna wrap this up. No matter what, I am still looking forward to seeing this arc get animated. I love to squee about great animation when it's in an already great show, and I know that everyone anticipates how well this one will be animated, giving the natural expectations of the series since season 1. But ultimately, I care way more about story and comedy and music and general style. Dazzling animation is the cherry on top. For me personally. Probably not true for everyone, but for me personally.
You can do whatever the fuck you want. I don't give a shit.
Point being that I will indeed be there no matter what.
We will be there.
And I'm sure that there will be hype moments, if nothing else. Aoki was, after all, able to create a few of those essentially all by himself in Season 2. But try to keep your expectations in check and also take all of the speculation with a grain of salt, including mine. There's a lot of completely baseless BS rumors floating around, so stay grounded, stay woke. Just, don't trust everything you read or hear on the internet. But yeah, I hope at the very least it's not another step down from Season 2, as many are worrying. But yeah, I'll be back with something much more positive very soon. Probably.